Hey, Michael Cohen, Don Lemon, the Lemon Cohen Report, or in
It,
his mind, the Cohen
it is
Lemon Report.
still the Lemon Cohen Report, regardless of who's hosting it. I'm hosting it today because I am so proud to tell each and every one of you, and to those of you that are in the tri-state area, Don Lemon is performing over at City Winery tonight in his Speedo. He's going to be... he's, yeah, I know, the thought of that one. Right? He's performing at City Winery. I've done it there. It is an amazing, amazing place by the piers.
Yeah.
Not just today, but tomorrow also. Don, tell them where they can get a ticket.
Okay, so it's City Winery, New York City, tonight. As we're taping this, it's Tuesday, August 12th at 7 o'clock or 7:30. Doors open at 6. But here's the thing, Michael, tonight is sold out. Tuesday night is sold out. They added a show on Wednesday. So if you'd like to see us on Wednesday, there are still tickets available. But what we do is we educate people. So there's no misinformation. You know how much misinformation is out there. D.L. Hughley, the comedian, and I doing it. And the reason we do it is because we want to inform people. We don't want, people to go and have to vote again or make decisions on their lives and their families and their futures with all the misinformation, without having the facts and the knowledge to do so. And we felt that this happened so much during the previous election that we had to do something about it. This will be our second time doing this show. We did one in June. It was sold out. It was a hit. And we said, if this one's great, we'll do it again. They asked us, so it's sold out again, and they added another date tomorrow night. And so if it does well here, we'll take it around the country. So
yeah, and look, I'm a big fan of obviously yours. Like so many lemon heads. That's the new name. If you are a Don Lemon supporter, you are a lemon head.
The Lemon Nation,
which I happen to be, and I also like D.L. Hughley a lot as well.
Michael, let me just tell you, if you want to find out about anything that has to do with it, go to donlemon.com, or you can just Google City Winery, Don Lemon, D.L. Hughley. Sorry, go ahead.
And we should definitely do it in Atlanta. I would like to be a part of it too. I was on with a few folks today from Atlanta, and they were like, hey, when are you coming here? When are you coming here? Like Marcus Flower, as an example. He's like,
I know Marcus.
He's like, hey, come to Georgia. It's needed. Meanwhile, talk about misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. We don't just get that, believe it or not, from MAGA. We don't just get it from Republicans. We don't just get it emanating out of the White House, whether it's Caroline Leavitt or any of the enablers. We actually get it from people who we think are on our own side. Yesterday, Don, I know you and I were talking about it. You asked me, hey, what the hell happened there? I had Tara Palmeri on. I hosted my Monday Michael show. Tara was the guest. She came in with an agenda, and the agenda had to do with a lawsuit which was entitled Jane Doe, a minor, by and through her mother and natural guardian, Mary Jane Doe, that I had dealt with going back in 2016. Well, the outcome of that case is 2 days later, it was determined by this Jane Doe's lawyers, who had stated to me that they never met their client, that everything was done through the mail, and that it was done as a referral from another lawyer, and they ultimately dropped the case. And she's trying to insinuate that I know more about the relationship of Epstein.
Michael, let me say this.
It's disingenuous, to say the least.
I watched it. I thought that you both conducted yourselves very well. I didn't think that she was out to get you. I think you explained yourself well, and she explained why she was asking the questions. I don't think.
Well, it's one thing to ask a question. It's another thing to refuse to accept the answer. And that's the problem. Like, Don, if hypothetically there's one cookie left, right, that's in the cookie jar, and I come home and it's not there, and I turn around and say, hey, Don, did you take it? And you say, no, I haven't been home. And you're like, well, you must have taken it because I didn't eat it. And you're like, Michael, I'm telling you, I swear, I never touched the cookie. Yeah, I'm allergic to chocolate chip cookies. I don't like chocolate chip cookies, right? And then I turn around and I keep pressing you and saying, you must have been the one to take it. And you're like, Just listen to the answer. I have nothing to hide. You have nothing to hide. So why not accept the answer instead of trying to create a gotcha moment? And that sensationalism, that stupidity is what ultimately gives Trump the ability to yell fake news, because
Yeah.
if it happens to be correct. So I said to her right there during the live, I didn't represent him for the Katie Johnson case. I didn't know anything about it. I said, look it up online and tell
Well,
me who's the lawyer.
people are asking about what is Michael talking about, because I want people to have the knowledge. Okay, so I follow Michael, obviously, because we do a show together. I follow Tara
Well, also
Palmeri. She's
because
a
we're
former.
friends. Also because we're
Yeah.
friends.
Okay,
Right.
yes. And so it came across her Substack, or her newsletter came across my notifications, and it says exclusive inside the Trump Epstein allegation Cohen was sent to fix. The Katie Johnson lawsuit against Trump disappeared in 2016. Michael Cohen's account hints at
I
why the
had
mystery
nothing to
remains.
do with
Oh,
Katie
okay, let
Johnson.
me explain, and then you can. It says in the red letter community, one name keeps resurfacing: Katie Johnson. She was a Jane Doe who's accused of President Trump of 3 different lawsuits of R-wording her in Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan townhouse in 1994. She was 13 years old, aspiring model. Blah blah blah. And then it says, it talks about how the case was dropped. It didn't come to fruition. And for years, she said she wondered why. And then she said, then this weekend, a clip from Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, was forwarded to me by a fellow reporter who remarked that he hasn't heard Cohen say a nice thing about Trump since he went to prison for making hush money payments for him. And yet he seemed to be clearing him on MSNBC. And so, but in this, is unless I'm getting it wrong, are you saying that did you
On
fix
the
one of these
Jane Doe
cases?
case, she makes the point that the Jane Doe and Katie Johnson, because that's the
Are the
second
same.
case, is the
That's
same
the
person.
same.
Is the same person. That's I don't know where she has that information from, because I'm not aware that that's true. The Jane Doe case was dropped after 2 days because I sent an investigator to the home that was stated in that complaint. There is no home. It is a vacant parking lot. All right. And so I asked the lawyers if they had ever met their client. No. How did you get the case? It was a referral. It was done via mail. And so I said, well, do you know that the address that's in the complaint it's a parking lot. It's a vacant parking lot. They were like, we're dropping the case. I said, thank you. That was it. How she
Okay.
is putting, next thing you know, Katie Johnson brings an action against Trump. Okay. I acknowledge there is another action, or there was another action entitled Katie Johnson versus Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. I had nothing to do with it. I'm not aware of the averments in the complaint. I had nothing to. She just doesn't want to hear the truth because it didn't comport to what she was trying to do, which is to create some sort of a something. Now, the reason why I turned around and I had said on MSNBC, I do not believe that, and Lev, stay with us because Don has to leave because he's going to City Winery, so I'll bring you up. But I do not believe that Trump was on Epstein Island. Now, does that mean that he's exonerated from everything? No, I'm merely stating a fact. Here's another fact. On your hat, it says Lemon Nation, right? It's just a fact. It's what it says. All right. So why she wants to argue with a fact, I don't know, other than you're trying to create some sort of something in order to get, I don't know, maybe subscribers, people behind your paywall. So I just say, fuck her. I don't care.
Michael.
I've dealt with smarter, I've dealt with much better journalists. As far as I'm concerned,
Michael.
I thought she came off. Personally, I thought she came off looking very stupid and like a
Okay.
sensationalistic
Okay.
journalist.
I don't want to be sensational, and I know Tara Palmeri, so I don't but I'm just saying.
Oh, I don't want you to say
I
anything about her.
no, of course not. But when I watched, I did not see any vitriol on either of your parts. You were discussing something. My confusion, because people who were watching just as an observer, I wanted to know if the Jane Doe and Katie Johnson are the same
I
person.
don't know the answer to that.
That's the thing. They could be the same person, right?
By the way, again, let's assume that that's correct. Let's assume that somehow Tara knows that they're the same two people. The first case, which was a Jane Doe case, was dropped. Not because I strong-armed somebody, not because I paid somebody off. Had I done that, there never would have been, under your theory, a Katie Johnson case, right? She's paid off, there's a
Yeah.
release, the whole bit. There wouldn't be. The only reason it was dropped is because the lawyers on their own, after 48 hours, dropped it because the individual that they thought was the client did not exist. Now, later on, there is a case that was brought up called Katie Johnson. I personally, as I say a million times, I want to know the truth. I want the facts. You know where the facts are right now? In Pam Bondi's office. And that's why I regularly and continuously call for the immediate release of the entire unredacted file, except for the names of these women, of these who, were children at the time. I call for the immediate and unredacted release of the entire file. I'm not protecting anybody. I'm not protecting Donald. I'm
I
certainly
know,
not protecting myself.
As someone who knows you, let me tell you, you're coming off way too defensive. I think
Not,
you're
not
over.
defensive, just angered. Just
Yeah,
angered because
but
I have gone through
you
this.
sound defensive, Michael. I'm telling
I
you.
have
Let
gone
me
through
just be
this a
honest. Let me
thousand
finish.
times.
Let me finish. You sound defensive, and I don't think that you should be saying, fuck her or whatever. There are many people I say that you can say that about, but I did not. I can understand, if you weren't involved, and that there's frustrating. But I'm telling you, and I know you, that you're coming off as defensive,
Right.
and you're overdoing, your defense of it. Just say, look, I didn't know him during the time.
Which I did.
Maybe Jane Doe and Katie Johnson could be the same person. I don't know.
Or maybe they're not. But
Or
here's
maybe they're not. Right.
and the point I constantly try to bring up to people is that I don't like the concept of speculation, right? You can have an idea, you're entitled to it. I can have an idea, I'm entitled to it. Every single one of those that are following us can
Yeah.
actually have their own belief.
Yeah.
Why do we have to guess? There's a file there that has all of our answers.
Right.
All the answers are in a file. And so I'm not hiding the truth. You know who's hiding the truth? The administration. I'm not hiding it. I want, like everybody else, the full and complete unredacted release of the files. And that way, I don't have to get into arguments or conversations or appear to be defensive.
But you can't understand why, because listen, consider the whole Stormy Daniels, Karen McDougal thing, and you were in his
Hold
orbit
on.
during that.
I got to stop you there, brother. Got to stop you there.
Why?
Karen McDougal was the #1 Playboy Playmate of the year. She was she was an adult. All right.
No.
Stormy
You're
Daniels
missing what
is
I'm
an
saying.
adult film star, an adult. None of these are children.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's how you came to prominence, is because of that. And so you were in Donald Trump's orbit around the time that this Katie, I don't even really know that much about it. I just read it. This Katie Johnson thing or the Jane Doe thing came about. You would have been the fixer during that time. It is quite natural, logical for people to wonder. So, and to ask you, Michael, did you have anything to do with it? Or perhaps maybe this is a Jane Doe, Katie Johnson that you don't know about. That's it. And then you say, maybe it is, whatever. But I'm just saying, it's logical to me. I would ask you, I'm a journalist and I'm your friend. I would ask you the same thing.
Right.
Yo, buddy, did you know? Like, yeah, that's.
And so if I said to you, I did not know about it, and you would say to me, really? You didn't know? I didn't. I didn't. Would you think that I'm lying to you? Then we start talking about what's going on in D.C. with the federalization of the District of Columbia Police Department. No, she wants to come right back. Are you sure? I mean, Katie Johnson was a 13-year-old with allegations that Donald had raped her and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I get it. I get it. She goes, and that case ultimately disappeared, and she had gone on television making claims that it was based upon harassment and threats for her life and so on. And I say, I have no knowledge of it whatsoever. Zero. I just don't know. Yeah, but are you really trying to say so? I said, I didn't handle that case.
Support comes from ZBiotics. I have to tell you about this game-changing product I use before a night out with drinks. It is called Pre-Alcohol. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic invented by PhD scientists to tackle those rough mornings after drinking. Here's the science, okay? When you drink, your body converts alcohol into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's the buildup of that byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for feeling off the next day. So ZBiotics creates an enzyme that helps break that byproduct down. I first tried pre-alcohol at a friend's birthday dinner. I knew it was going to be one of those nights. Great food, a couple of my favorite cocktails, wine, whatever. Plenty of toast. So I made pre-alcohol my first drink of the night, and the next morning I was up early, clear-headed, and still made it to work. It really does what it says it's going to do. And with the final days of summer here, you want to enjoy them. Whether you're headed to the beach, whether you're camping, you're sneaking in one last road trip, don't waste a single morning. Bring ZBiotics with you, drink it before alcohol, and enjoy every day to the fullest. So go to zbiotics.com/lemondrops to learn more and get 15% off of your first order when you use the code LEMONDROPS at checkout. And here's the best part. ZBiotics is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied for any reason, they're going to refund you, no questions asked. That is zbiotics.com/lemondrops, code word lemondrops for 15% off. Try it, and you're going to thank yourself in the morning.
But she did, I thought she did bring up a very good point when she mentioned, the reason that they keep the name, there are Jane Does, is because they're afraid of people like coming after them, trying to find out where they live. And so maybe she gave, an address.
Here's the problem.
That wasn't her address. But that would be fraudulent, I guess, legally. I don't know.
It doesn't really work that way, because then give the lawyer's address or some, because
the law firm, right.
So if I'm being sued, Don Lemon is suing me, I need to know that I could depose you, because I certainly have a right to defend myself against whatever the allegations may be. There was no Jane Doe. There was no address. All I did is tell the lawyer that I sent an investigator, right? I wanted to know whether or not the averments in the complaint were true or not. So we wanted to see what was on. We just started with an investigation. And lo and behold, it turned out that there is no home there. There's no building there. It is a vacant parking lot. That's it. And so,
gotcha. I just wanted you to be able to defend yourself, because it is out there, and I know that you would want to speak about it, and you're always very honest about what you say, a candid, to my knowledge. And the thing is that people are saying, Don, why are you defending her? I see you in the chats. I am defending her. And I'm not, but the reason I'm defending her is because she's not here to defend herself. Not like I'm offering a defense for her overall blanket defense. Just like if someone made an allegation about me on a thing, I would hope they would say, well, Don would say this, or maybe this is Don's perspective or whatever. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be a fair journalist here, and that's it. So I understand what you said about it. You said you didn't know. Perhaps it is, perhaps it's not. When I read it, I was like, well, maybe Michael was involved in a Jane Doe and he doesn't. Holy shit, that's huge. But if you don't know, you don't know. That's the end of the story.
And you know what? All right. Interestingly enough, when the files ultimately get opened and released, hopefully they will, at least it'll turn around and it'll once again validate. You remember the whole thing, Don? I was on your show years ago, right when the Steele dossier came out.
Yeah.
And I turned around and I said to you, and one thing, let me to all of you, the 1,400 people that are with us, let me be clear about something. Very, very clear. Don is a true and legitimate journalist that does not believe in sensationalism. He asks the tough questions, but he accepts the answer. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you asked me about the Steele dossier, you asked me point blank, Michael, have you ever been to the Czech Republic? Have you ever been to Prague?
I did.
And you asked me that question point blank. I said, Don, I brought my passport. I brought it with me. I said, I gave my passport to the Daily Beast, who put out the lie, so that they can photograph it. It's all over the the internet. My passport. I've never been to the Czech Republic. I've never been to Prague. I've never been to Russia. In fact, I also brought and showed you on air where I was at the time that they claimed that I was in Prague. I was in Los Angeles with my wife and my son. My son was trying out for the baseball team at USC. And the FBI went there and they validated what I said. And yet the next day, other reporters and other journalists, not like you, turn around and they were like, well, maybe you went the day after. Yeah, maybe, except the problem is I was on air with Harvey Levin on TMZ. All right? You know,
Yeah.
why don't you ask me where I was? After a while, it grates on your nerves. I
Yeah.
have no reason to lie. That's the
All right.
whole point. And so when I told you that the Steele dossier was bullshit, you were good enough to acknowledge it and
Yeah.
accept it. And guess what? 5 to 6 years later, it was verified and proven that the Steele dossier was a lie about all 11 allegations about me.
Okay, Michael, again, I'm just telling you, it just sounds like you're being a little defensive. I understand you're frustrated. I'm just telling you objectively as someone who knows you. And, you know, unless someone has done something really egregious for you, which this has happened to me, and then you have to tell them to, go F themselves, you don't want to do that with a woman.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
Right?
I don't
All right.
discriminate between male, female, young,
Okay.
old. I
I
just
know.
a journalist
It's
is a
different. It's
journalist.
different rules for different. I know, but I'm just saying. That's just me. Okay. So let's move on now. I have your
Yes,
answer.
sir.
If I have to question you more about it, if something comes up about this again,
Yes.
we will talk again.
Can we
Why the
talk
fuck
about
do we
DC?
have? That's what I was going to say. Why do we have members of the U.S. military, the National Guard, out on the streets in such force and doing things that the police can do themselves? Do big cities have crime problems? 100%. Could DC use some help? Yes. Is this heavy-handed? Yes. Is it 100% necessary? I don't think so. Why didn't he? My thing is the hypocrisy here. His supporters are saying Donald Trump could not, he didn't have the authority to call the national defense in for January 6th, right? Am I right?
You are.
And then now they're saying, oh, well, now they're saying he has the authority to do it. Well, which is
Somebody
it?
got carjacked, and now all of a sudden the authority is there within
Yes.
which to bring out
And
850.
he said he wanted to put criminals in jail. Why are the January 6th people still not in jail then? If he wants to put criminals in jail, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is that they put out yesterday alone 855. This is according to Sweet Caroline. I'm talking about Press Secretary Caroline Levitt, off of course, the Neil Diamond song. You know that song, right, D?
What?
Sweet Caroline?
No, I've never heard of it. Bum, bum,
Sure.
bum.
Yeah.
Good times never felt so good. So good. So good.
So meanwhile, she's on there at the presser talking about 855 federal, right, agents were out in force yesterday, and they made a whopping 23 arrests.
Oh my God.
Now
How
let
much
me
is
be
it costing us? Jesus.
right. So that's the whole point, because one thing that we know about Donald is everything somehow turns to dollars and cents. Well, let's start taking the cost of these 855 agents out there, take these 23 arrests, do the math. He is now turned around through his press secretary and said that this is just the beginning. They're ready to ramp it up. Okay, Don, I'm with you on that. I agree. I lived in D.C. Yeah, D.C. has its pluses, its minuses. But you know what really upset me the most? And it reminds me of something I wrote about in my book, Disloyal, early on when we were driving, Donald and I, through Chicago, and there was a very, very poor Black community, when he said to me, only the Blacks could live this way. And I said, boss, that's not true. There's plenty of really poor white neighborhoods too. He's talking again about visual. He's talking about the areas in DC that are minorities, all right? And that he doesn't like the way it looks. So what are they going to do? Start moving them all out? He wants to get rid of those communities because it doesn't look good. And that's, in his opinion, where the crime is taking place. It is so myopic in thought. It's so terrible, the things that they're saying I can't believe that this is the man that I actually work for. I really can't.
Let me tell you why I think all of this is happening. Number one, I think it's a distraction from Epstein. I think he has Epstein derangement syndrome. He can't get the news narrative to turn. He can't get the Epstein monkey off of his back. So he'll do whatever he can. If he thinks that this is going to be outrageous enough that the news, the mainstream media is going to focus on it, then that's what he's going to do. And number two, it is also a blue city takeover of trying to take over their elections and affect the elections or influence the elections, especially for the midterms, because he's afraid he's going to lose the House. So he's doing whatever he can so that he has control over perhaps these jurisdictions. He's testing it. So when it comes time for us to vote and have some confidence in, the election process, we won't have those confidence, and perhaps he will influence that with, some sort of election interference or people who are working for him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's why he's doing this.
I
A
think
distraction
I think there's a
and the
second half to that
midterms.
though. I think it's more than just the Epstein file. If you take a look at at Nazi Germany, the Third Reich, you have all of these individuals walking around in military gear all the time, all in honor of one man. And for whatever the reason may be, I think he sees that, because this, to me, what they are doing right now in DC, and I know the District of Columbia is a little bit different in terms of rules, but he did it in LA. I believe he wants to do it in all the cities, all the states. He wants to start empowering like Gen Zers, the young kids. That's what he wants to do, to have them in military gear, all jacked up on their hormones for the whole sole purpose of showing loyalty and fealty to him. I'm telling you, it's odd.
I love our talks. I love these comments. It is amazing. Someone said, Don, you saw that. Someone said, Don, give Michael a BetterHelp promo code. Come on, you gotta laugh at that. You
I
gotta
always
laugh.
laugh.
Hilarious. That is hilarious. But look, it's not hilarious. I think it's also really serious. I do believe that they're trying to rig elections around the country with this gerrymandering, and I do believe that Donald Trump is desperate. That's why he's pushing Abbott and others, the governor of Indiana, the governor of Texas, and beyond. He's trying to push them to gerrymander the House or their districts in a year that they're not supposed to do it. This is not a
And they're not
census
hiding.
year.
They're not
And they're
hiding
not
in the
and they're doing
shadows.
it right
They're
in the
doing
open.
it
Yeah,
right out in the open.
right out in the open. And that's what's going on. Michael, come
Sean,
see me, brother.
let me say this. Do great tonight. I know you will. Say hi to Ugly for me. Um, just keep doing you. Keep speaking the truth all the time. Keep informing people, as best as you possibly can. That's good. That's the job. That's the way that we win, not with the nonsense, with like the
Yeah.
fake journalists.
Well, I thank you. I thank you for your candor. And when I question you, and it's not personal. And you answer the questions, and I appreciate it. But I love our conversations because they can be intense sometimes. Many times, Michael and I disagree, but we still do this shit every week. And you still text me stupid things all the time, like, "Why haven't I heard from you, brother? What's going on?" Like, because I actually, I'm doing shit. I'm not
Well,
just sitting around
yeah,
reading Michael Cohen Revenge. That's on the shelf behind you.
exactly. I'll give you one tomorrow. I will come see you tomorrow at the show. Do
All right.
great, and I will see you
City
later.
Winery. Thank you, Michael. City Winery. Go to the City Winery website, get your tickets. Wait till you see our special guest. When you find out who our special guest is tonight, you're going to want to come tomorrow. And Michael will be there too. Michael will be a special guest tomorrow night. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Always do great.
See you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.